Welcome to another episode of Theos Cybernova podcast. I'm delighted today to be joined in sunny Hong Kong by the wonderful Cathy Chan from Cyberforce, who is going to talk to us today about a very interesting topic, which is the cyber threats around quantum computing. Now, the term Q-Day, Cathy, has become a real buzzword, hasn't it? Can you explain to the audience in layman's terms what that actually means? And also, could you perhaps enlighten us? Is this going to be just another Y2K thing, something about nothing, or is it real?
Imagine that you have the most valuable treasures in a room with a door with a secure lock that you think is really safe. But now someone is telling you, I'm developing a super key that I can open your door.
Wow.
Yeah, so is it a Y2K? I don't think so, because it's based on physics. It's really something discovered from the universe. And it is actually, I think it's work. Opening the locks, super key is something works theoretically. It's just a matter of how it works.
Wow. And what does Q-Day actually stand for then?
Q-Day is actually a future days when quantum computers become strong enough to break the protections that protecting most of your important data nowadays.
Wow. So it means that they'll be able to break all the kinds of encryption that are commonly used in software applications, etc.
Your banking transactions,
wow.
Your emails, your digital signatures,
So the whole thing could be opened up.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay, if that hasn't got everybody scared right away, then nothing will. So you do think this is more of a big deal than the Y2K date thing?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're forewarned then, everybody, and we'll dig into this. But what is a quantum computer? Is it possible to explain this in layman's terms, or is it, because I hear about qubits and, all these kind of things. It sounds incredibly complex.
I asked AI, asked AI to explain to me as a children. Yeah, I got this result. Quantum computers are special, super-powered computers that use tiny things called qubits. Solve really hard problems. It's got a state called superposition so that they can solve the difficult problem. Try many solutions to a problem all at the same time.
Yes.
So in our traditional computers, it's doing it linearly. Yes, just 1, 0, 1, 0. But quantum computing can be 1 and 0 at the same time. So this will be some things that they can process really fast. Yeah, so we can say that because the companies who are building the quantum computers, they have a very realistic statistics that traditional computers need years. A few hundreds of years to solve. They just solve it within 10 minutes.
Wow. But it sounds like we need to be geniuses to actually understand these things, doesn't it? It's really incredibly complicated.
I also not a professional, physician or scientist.
Yes.
We just need to think of it's another kind of computers, which is totally different from a traditional computers that we are using now. So you just need to know its capability, but you don't need to know how to build it up.
Right. Okay. I think I get you there. Yeah. Just understand that it's capable of doing all these things. We don't need to understand entirely about qubits and stuff, right? But anyway, let's talk more about the impact, because the threat timeline for quantum computing impacting today's encryption standards is something that's not really clearly defined, is it? Some people think it's sometime, and others will say it's a later in the future, right? Isn't it? So when should organizations really start to worry about Q-Day?
So let's talk about the predictions of the Q-Day. When will it happen? The prediction of the Q-Day falls into 2028. And 2030 or 35 something. Yeah, it's actually just a few years to go. Yeah, so actually when will our organizations really start worrying about Q-Days is depends on what data they're having. The data they're having will affect when they need to start acting on it. For example, if your data is valid for maybe 50 years. Your banks, your government, nations, or healthcare system, the data will be valuable for quite a very long time. And I think when your data is valid for long enough, and it's already surpassed the 2028 to 2030, that means that you need to act now. But why? Why they need to act now? Because the quantum computer is not here. I need to mention the terms about, harvest now, decrypt later. It is an attack. It is an attack that some guys that try to stealing your encrypted data now, they're not going to do anything about it. They just store it.
Right, and then wait for the technology to be sophisticated enough to be able to unlock it, to use your key analogy.
Yes, when the quantum computer is ready, they just and the important thing is at that time your data is still valuable to them. They still can sell money. Yeah, then that you already be at risk. Then you need to start worrying about it now.
Whew. But I mean, in reality, though, who is going to be doing this? I understand it from a nation state point of view, right? They'll be looking for state secrets, perhaps also, as you said, medical history is going to last forever, right? So maybe they're looking for medical history on politicians or famous people, right? Is it really something that average person needs to worry about, or is it just nation state, really?
I think so, because the problem is actually we are doing some, as a security consultants, we are doing some monitorings on dark webs, actually. Even organizations or what you mentioned, just like average companies, their data is still valuable.
Right.
Some ones will still want the data, and especially if you are doing some personal data, I think these will be the data that everyone will want, and we can see that they can still sell it for monies in that way.
Right. I guess if it's worth money, then they'll do it, won't they? Wow. So this harvest now, decrypt later. Wow, fascinating. But going back to the criminal groups again, I mean, are they really going to have quantum computers though? Is it? And how can your average hacker have a quantum computer? Surely these things are going to cost millions, right? So again, isn't it really only nations that are going to be doing this, at least initially?
No, I don't think so, because the companies who are building the quantum computer is not from nations. Maybe they were subsidized by nations, but actually they are building it for making monies.
Got it.
When one day the technologies become mature enough for them to make money, to got the payback, I think there will be something like quantum computer as a service, and something like this service provider, just like you don't need to build your own LLM in order to use AI.
Got it. Yeah. So in other words, you'll just rent.
Yes, you can rent it. You can buy the servers from who do have. Yeah.
Do you not think there's some way they could put controls in that they to prevent the quantum computers being used to decrypt?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, there will be some strict requirements or compliance or policies against who is going to rent it. But I think one day when the quantum computers or technology become cheap enough, maybe 50 years or hundreds of years later, it's really become widespread in every corners of the world. And that time, you can't control it.
Yeah, wow. There's a lot of food for thought here, Cathy. I've got to say, it's kind of creeping up on us because you mentioned 2028, right, as the earliest. That's 3 years away.
Yeah.
Well, not even 3 years away because we're almost in 2026 now.
Yes.
Wow. So what can organizations do to build an effective quantum readiness plan? What are the first practical steps towards, I guess we could call it quantum agility?
I need to mention one thing that actually NIST, our National Institution of Standard and Technology, they released some 4 new algorithm, which is called quantum resistant algorithm. Yes, they just want the market or the world start to prepare for changing their data protections or their algorithm, the encryption method to these kinds of quantum resilience or resistant algorithm. Yeah, so I think but as of now, this is not a one-click process that you just click and then everything will change now. So what is an effective quantum readiness plan? I do think that you need to know what kind of data you have. You need to know where your data resides. Is it how it's being encrypted with which algorithm, and then also will the data leave your controlled environment, cross nations, or how far they will route to external environment. So you need to have the feasibility. You need to have the inventory of what kind of encryption or cryptography that exists in your environment protecting your data.
I actually was speaking at a conference run by the Network Forum for bankers. just recently. And of all the topics I raised, I was the only presenter on cyber. Of all the topics I raised, this one raised the most eyebrows. I think a lot of people are totally unaware and they're not really thinking ahead in terms of, wow, this data, it could be unlocked in a few years' time. And what is going to be the impact on us? Confidential information, account details, your transaction details that were supposedly confidential at the time.
Scary.
Yeah, it is pretty scary, isn't it? Wow. Are the regulators picking up on this? Are the regulators starting to enforce, say in the banking world, for example, for the banks to be taking steps to being ready?
The market is expecting it. The strict regulations or compliance requirements will appear sometimes maybe around 2030s. But the problem is what the earliest time that we mentioned just now is 2028. So I think things may work faster, may go faster. And but the problem is actually the standard or even they release the standard, the market is still haven't kept up. Yeah, because when we talk about the regulation, we need to make sure technically they can be doing it feasible and feasible because the problem is when the hardwares or when the technologies that they need to do with the new algorithms, the new regulations, they need to increase their performance. The solutions, or if, for example, if they have hardwares, they need way a lot of computing powers when you adopt the new algorithms. Yeah. So the problem is the market haven't kept up. So go back to what you mentioned just now. What is the plan? First, I have the visibility, but nothing I can do. Seems nothing I can do. I need to wait for our vendors or supply chains that need to get it ready. Then I need to start. No, actually, I think what the terms we mentioned just now is crypto agility. You need to get ready for the changes.
Right.
So you need to have the workflow. You need to review your current workflow. You need to review which team is actually doing about the keys, the cryptographies, the certificates, that you need to figure out the workflow, current workflow, and then trying to automate it, trying to adopt, maybe solutions or some automation change to adopt to the changes.
Right. Before we go on to talk about some of these solutions and, distinguishing marketing hype and things like this, just pause for a second just to ask, our audience listening today to please, do click on the like or subscribe button because, we're trying to push out very important information to the community here and your support really helps us. So please click the like, and subscribe buttons. Now, Cathy, before we go on to that, I'm a bit curious because you obviously live and breathe this. You love this, right? Don't you? I can see it. We're sat, by the way, in person here, and I can see how passionate you are about this subject, which is great. But how did you actually get into this? Did you come with a cyber background or?
Cyber background, yeah, because I graduated from computer science and I started my career with programmer, and then for a few years, and then I jumped into the field of cybersecurity, and now it's already 10 years. So I can't say I'm really a professional or an experienced people in this field, but I can feel that cybersecurity is really an interesting field that we always got new questions. We always got problems to resolve. And now when I touched with, because before I touched the quantum computing, actually I touched with certificate things first, because I help our customer to automate their certificate management, because actually renewing certificate sounds like easy, but it's actually the pain points of many of our customers. So and from this point, and I start digging into it, why we need to renew the certificate like this, and then I touched the quantum computing, and knowing that the cryptography is going to change in a few years, and that's why I jumped into studying. I'm not studying, but I just learned more about the quantum computers and also its cryptography.
Wow, it's a great journey, though. I mean,
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, well, I could see it written all over your face, that you clearly love this. And, it's fantastic that we've got somebody here in Hong Kong who can explain this clearly, who can help clients who really are trying to navigate this and just beginning this journey. So when we talk about that, there's obviously going to be a lot of, I guess, marketing hype because much like AI, companies are going to jump on this. They're going to realize that there's a market, there's potential money to be made. So how do, clients or companies that are looking to be, safe in the post-quantum world, how do they choose vendors and what should they be looking at for solutions?
Okay. Yes, I think first thing first, they need to define or they need to explain well how they become quantum ready. Yeah. So if the companies or if the vendors or if the product is saying that we are quantum proof, we have 100% of quantum safe, I think we need to doubt on it, because even the scientists who are building the quantum computer don't know the cap of the the cap of the capabilities of the quantum computers. So actually, even NIST, they released a new algorithm. They also have a very sentence at the end of their announcement that we can't guarantee this new algorithm is safe forever.
Right.
But we will work on the backup plan. So to define well the marketing hype or something, you need to know the story behind how they get ready with the new algorithms or get ready with the quantum era. So I think first of all, maybe they need to, how they deal with the performance impact when they adopt the algorithm. So I think understanding the story behind, knowing which exactly the algorithm they're using to protect your data or their data is important to define well which of them is just a marketing hype, or which of them is really the solutions that you're helping you.
Wow, yeah, it's going to be challenging, isn't it? Because, as we've already sort of realized in this conversation, this is not going to be easy. But I was fascinated by something you just mentioned about even NIST with their new technologies. They're saying that even this may be broken in the future.
Yeah, because no one can tell the cap of how powerful can be the quantum computing. But I need to say that we can't make it to become too much exaggerated, because they are still doing much error corrections, or they are still experiencing. The quantum computers is still experience high error rate. So we can see that some recent news that this may not be happen very soon, etc. That it depends. I think none of us can tell except for the companies that they're really building the computers. But the problem is, there is no, not only quantum computing, it's security. There is no 100% security, no 100% safe in any kind of environment.
No, you're absolutely right, and yeah, I guess it's something that we can only find over time, which is a little bit worrying. Now, you mentioned about certificates, right? And that's obviously critical. And that's something your company, Cyberforce, right? Cyberforce is heavily involved in ensuring that companies are able to, organizations are able to have secure certificates that are future-proof, if I can say that, or future-proof to an extent. Can you explain a little bit more about that, the importance of certificates, what they're used for, and what you actually do to help organizations to stay ahead?
Okay. So certificates actually, let's say because there are many kind of different, digital entities. With the certificates that we are mentioning is mainly a TLS public cert that we're using. For example, some external facing websites, you can see the certificate there. Right. Actually, is protecting the data the transaction or in and out. So the problem is what we are dealing with. I think I can mention the news. I'm not sure if this is a news, but CA browser forums is actually confirmed to the shortening the public TRS certificate lifespan to 47 days in 2029. And I think I need to let the audience know that actually most of our companies is now dealing with a 1-year certificate. Usually. Yeah. So renewing the certificate is usually a yearly practice. Yes. And now it's become, in 2029, it become a quarter. Maybe you need to do it every quarter.
Are organizations doing this?
Most of our customers is actually adapting to this change because they are adopting some certificate lifecycle management solutions that is actually helping them to adapt to change, become crypto agility. They need to achieve the crypto agility even the algorithm keep changing from time to time. I still have something automated. I still have something changes that I can do it real quick. Yeah.
Okay. Now, we first met at a recent conference which was focused on AI. And actually, you gave a brilliant presentation, which is why we're meeting now on the all of the topics we discussed today. But you also spoke about AI, right, and the role of automation and AI in supporting quantum resilience. Now, is AI supporting quantum resilience, or is it making the quantum computer's ability to crack the encryptions faster and easier? Is it our enemy or our friend, in other words?
I think both, because you can't tell if technology is a good person or a bad person. Yeah, it's neutral. We can't blame AI. It's a neutral person. So, but the problem is, actually, I have a little funny stories that I have a little bit struggle in linking the quantum computing with AI at the first place.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the problem is when we are doing AI, it's actually two the two paths walking in parallel. They may sometimes AI is helping quantum to build faster, but at the same time, maybe the quantum computing is also can equip AI running in a more capable ways. Yeah. So what you mentioned just now is it helping, or is it a bad people, or just what kind of directions that he is going to help quantum computing and AI is helping each other? I think there is a different dimensions that we can dig into. But the problem is how is AI and is helping quantum computing? So we can see that from some quantum projects now. Actually, they have terms called quantum AI.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
a combination of them. But it's really making some breakthrough on the development of the quantum computers, like in their error corrections, and noise reductions that actually push the quantum computers development much more faster.
Yeah, okay. And does it also affect the ability to, decrypt? I mean, to crack, what is the skill set behind that? Is it just computing power, or are there, clever techniques that AI can develop to make the decryption faster, not just relying on computer power?
I think it's both way. They can decrypt. I don't think AI can now doing the decryption faster, because they still rely on the qubits, the quantum computer, which is not mature right now. Yeah, there's still years to go. So I think AI can speed up, but they are not going to help it decrypt our current algorithm faster.
Right. Okay. So, all right. If I'm sat in an average company right now, how could you help them? I mean, your company. How could you? What would somebody listening to this goes, oh crikey, I haven't done anything to prepare for this Q day, this horrible word that's becoming a buzzword. How could you help them?
Okay, so I think the first steps is to know your environment. So the first step, I think, for now, when we touch our customers who is really worrying about it, we need to first start with building the inventory for them. Yeah, because feasibility is the first step you need to before you gain control. So first of all, you need to have a centralized inventory. You need to know CBOM. CBOM is cryptographic bill of materials in your environment. So this is the first step. And then the second step is to control. For example, you need to know their key length. You need to know how secure is them right now. And moving forward, maybe we need to explore whether they can do the encryption or cryptography with a hybrid mode. Hybrid modes meaning we're doing the classical algorithm and the quantum resistant algorithm together. Yeah, which is the cloud vendor is doing right now already, because they host many important assets on the cloud, and they are doing the hybrid mode of cryptography nowadays. Yeah. So I think end up at the end of the plan or the advice to them is try our very best to automate any procedures, or for example, when you need to change the cert, you need to change your algorithm, you need to change your key. Do it seamlessly, or do it with minimal effort. Don't make for example, for a company nowadays use 2 months to change a cert.
Right.
Yeah, so this is important. I mean, it's impossible to run it in this way in future.
And you resell, or you develop automated tools that can make this process efficient. Am I correct?
We just resell.
You resell, right?
Resell,
Okay, fair enough. But there are tools. The point I'm making is there are tools out there that can help, because that sounds like a heavy lift trying to do the work that you just mentioned. And I'm sure there's a lot of organizations listening to this who think, that would be very helpful. It's a bit of a drain. Is there anything else that the companies should be worried about, though? Because there's a lot of small companies here. Is there anything anything else they could be doing to prepare, or does that cover it, do you think?
To prepare, I have some of our cases that now are looking for some BAS, the bridge attack simulation tools, that actually they put in some quantum elements inside. Of course, they don't have the quantum computers themselves, but actually the attack or the attacks can be simulated in some ways. So some of our customers is looking for this kind of solutions. We can tell it just security validation or bridge attack simulation tools that they can think of. They don't need to buy the products. They can just buy some subscription service that we can run against your environment. And actually you will know where the points are that you need to pay attention to.
Right. Do you incorporate that ever into, because obviously we at Theos, we do crisis exercises for companies, but more on the traditional side, is it ransomware? Is it a breach? Is it a data, whatever kind of incident inside a threat? Have you ever run those kind of, or been involved in those kind of exercises with clients where the scenario is about, a quantum computing attack that breaches some form of encryption in their environment?
I'm not really retelling something very solid, but I know that some of the attacks will be like the key distributions, etc. So I think we need to dig into more.
Yeah, I think we do. I think you triggered my thinking on this. There's definitely a need, I think, for crisis preparedness around this, because having listened to you for the last 30 minutes or so, I think this is definitely a big deal, and it's something that needs to be taken seriously by organizations. So at the beginning of our conversation, you mentioned that predictions range from 2028 through to 2035, roughly. What about you? What's your prediction? I'm going to put you on the spot here. When do you think Q-Day is going to happen, Cathy?
I'll pick a middle numbers.
Going safe.
Yeah, and as a cybersecurity consultant, I hope this can comes earlier. No, but just joking, just kidding. Yeah, but the problem is, I think it will come, because actually there are different voices that also doubting, is it really coming? Is it really something that's going to happen? Actually, we don't know. But the problem is with the monies that invested into this field, and even with some national alliances, they put it in the scope. Yeah, and we can see in some posts that by our tech giants, they also start mentioning about this word. So I don't think they will suddenly quit from this development. But the problem is, I think the question shouldn't be, should we worry about it? But the problem is, I don't think that the question should be, can we afford to wait?
Yes.
Yeah. So because there is something that theoretically feasible, there is something that already building and actually that is supported by physics. So I think we need to get ready for it as soon as possible.
Oh, I definitely agree. And I think, Cathy, the work that you do and the work at Cyberforce is going to become increasingly important as we approach that dreaded Q-Day. And that's going to be big news as and when it actually happens, of course. And but one thing I'm convinced about is, having heard you speak on this, and obviously having spent time with you today, thank you. I know we're going to hear more from you in the coming conferences here in Hong Kong. But just a quick question though: do you support outside of Hong Kong, or you just focus on Hong Kong at the moment?
Mainly on Hong Kong, China, Macau. Right. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's because our audience is around the region. But if they wanted to get hold of you, I guess that you would be helpful no matter where they're located. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, Cathy, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show today, Cathy. A fabulous episode of frightening and enlightening information about something that's poorly understood, I would say, across the industry. So, I really appreciate you giving up your time to be with me today. But I always ask my guests before I close up, because as I explain often, my way of unwinding is to listen to music, and I'm a music lover, and I'm always curious what my guests are currently listening to. So, perhaps I could ask you, Cathy, what music are you currently listening to?
If you mention about currently, recent 3 months, I'm really dig into the children's songs, Coco Melon, because my son is start dancing or just singing. Yeah.
Doesn't it drive you nuts though?
Yeah, so I now when I'm dreaming, it's just the children's song, the wheels on the bus, yeah, is coming up in my dreams.
The wheels on the bus. Oh dear.
Yeah, just kidding. For myself, I usually hear Canton pop.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Canton pop. Yeah, yeah.
So you're not with the local trend of K-pop though?
K-pop, I listen to Blackpink. Yeah, it's energetic, and when you work in the late night, you want to fall asleep, just open a music videos, Blackpink, and you will become energetic again.
Oh, good to know. Good to know. Cathy, thank you so much for joining. And I'm really honored because you told me this is your first ever podcast. So I'm so honored that you chose to do it with me. And,
it's my pleasure.
Thank you very much for your time today, Cathy.
You too. Thanks, Paul.
Theos Cybernova was presented by myself, Paul Jackson. The studio engineer and editor was Roy DeMonte. The executive producer was myself and Ian Carlos. And this podcast is a co-production between Theos Cyber and W4 Podcast Studio in Dubai.
The Theos Cybernova Podcast.